Greetings, YouTube. It's Michael Romeo, and I'm talking about books. Well, that's what my channel title says I do, so I guess I should do it. Um, Folks, books are amazing. Books are just a wonderful thing to have. They are journeys to other places, other times. They are just, ah, books. I got hooked on books thanks to my mother, who, as soon as I started learning to read, um, started bringing me with her to the public library every 2 weeks. It was books were always due back 2 weeks after you check them out, and it became a ritual every 2 weeks on. I think it was a Thursday night. I want to say it was a Wednesday or Thursday night. Just Dad would, when he got home from work after he had his dinner, would drive me and Mom to the library, and I just remember walking around finding books and bringing them home and reading them and bringing them back and getting more. And the librarian knew my name, and it was just a wonderful time. And it has evolved into I am just a we jokingly talk about being a bookaholics. I am a book, book companion. I don't know what you want to call me, but I just love reading, and I hope I am in some way passing that joy along to those of you who take the time to watch my videos, because I really do want to share that joy with all you folks. Um, Today, we're back in May. We're back in May. We're in May. And so we're back to a new month. And I've been doing my favorite 120 books. When you've been reading as long as I have, it is possible to have that many favorite books. And I'm doing 10 books a month for a year. There's only 3 months left to go. I'm putting them all bit by bit. I'm putting them all into a playlist for those of you who want to watch the whole thing. If you've just joined me for the first time and you like what you see this time, you want to see what the other books were. I'm trying to make it easy for folks like that who want to do something like that. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're a returning visitor, welcome back. While you're here, hit the subscribe button. It'll let you know when I pop up a new video. And if you're brand new, welcome for the first time. You've landed on a place where there is a crazy man who loves books. So for May, these are books 91 through 100. And as always, they're not in any particular order. They're in the order that they occurred to me as I was writing the list. This one's a pretty eclectic one. And some stuff here I think you all would enjoy if you decided to read them. We're starting off with Home to Holly Springs by Karon. It's a book from 2007. It is part of her Mitford series, but it reads as a standalone as well. As a matter of fact, instead of referring to it as part of the Mitford series, she refers to it as one of her Father Tim books. Father Tim is the main character of the Mitford series, but this one, he leaves Mitford and goes back to his hometown of Holly Springs, and tackles some personal demons. I love the Mitford series, but I'll tell you what, Karon hit her peak when she wrote Home to Holly Springs. It was a riveting book. It was a book that made you laugh, a book that made you cry. Um, he 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 being Father Tim struggles to come to terms. He's Father Tim is an older gentleman like me, um, and he's trying to put to rest some demons from his childhood, and that have followed him through the Mitford series. And there's some really heart wrenching moments in it, and but there's also good stuff too. It's a well blended book, and Jan Karon really, as I said, really hit her peak with it. The second book I've got on the list today is Ordinary People by Judith Guest from 1976. So here we are with my 20th century focus. Those of you who are new, my focus is 20th century popular novels and literature. This was assigned as a freshman college book, and it is an astounding book, folks. It is this is a book that takes your heart out and stomps it on the ground. It just really reaches deep. It centers on a young man who has just been released from the hospital, a psychiatric hospital, after surviving a suicide attempt. And there's a whole backstory there. Why he tried to commit suicide. And we travel with him as he talks to his psychiatrist to try to get to the root of what it was. I mean, he attempts suicide for one reason that he thinks is it, but there was something much deeper. And we've got a mother who cannot quite handle the fact that her son did something like attempting suicide and does not know how to deal with him when he returns. Dad is a Casper milquetoast, and there's dynamics in this book of a dysfunctional family that lead to a very strong, very heart-wrenching book. It was also made into a wonderful movie that was directed by Robert Redford, starred Mary Tyler Moore, Donald Sutherland, Tim Hutton, Judd Hirsch. Really? Okay, we've got dogs and cats going on here. All right, come on, y'all relax. We're talking about books now. And as I was saying before I had to stop and break up a cat and dog fight, Ordinary People, guys. Great book. Great book. I really thought when they made the movie, I really thought Mary Tyler Moore was going to get the Oscar for Best Actress that year, but she didn't. She was nominated, but she didn't get it. She really brought the character of the mother strongly to life. Read it. Really read it. Next on the list is a book called Die a Little by Megan Abbott, a 2005 novel. Megan Abbott has several books. As a matter of fact, I've got the next one is another one of hers, where she does homage to the noir style of the early 20th century. We're talking 30s, 40s, 50s. And she does it well. You would think she was born to it. Come on, Speedy. Man. You would think that that she was just there in the time and the place to write these types of books. In this case, this book is set in the 50s, and we got a brother and a sister who are orphans. They're adults now, and they share a house. And um, another woman comes into brother's life, and sister is not quite comfortable with this. Not so much that that he is seeing a woman and having a relationship, but she just doesn't trust this particular woman, and she starts digging a little bit to find out more about who this woman is. And as she digs and digs deeper, she goes down a rabbit hole that leads to suspense, leads to murder, leads to all kinds of stuff. Um, Real edge of the seater. The audiobook is phenomenal. The woman who reads it, and I didn't think to jot her name down, um, just nails it. Absolutely nails it. Another book along the same lines, also by Megan Abbott. She wrote it 2 years later, 2007, called Queenpin. You've all heard of a kingpin, who is like a crime boss. Well, this is Queenpin, and she's a crime boss. And this young woman who wants to get ahead is not happy with her lot in life, thinks she can do much better, becomes sort of an apprentice to this Queenpin. And it's kind of along the lines of All About Eve, the classic movie starring Betty Davis. Those of you who are old enough to remember that, the apprentice gets a little too big for her shoes, and starts trying to muscle in on the Queenpin's territory, and it's another edge of the seat story that captures the noir feel of the early 20th century crime fiction. So make sure you check those two out. There are a couple more that she wrote that were not as good. They were still good, but they didn't make my favorites. But these two did. The next one is probably the only short story collection I have on here. The same teacher uh, that assigned Ordinary People in my freshman year of high school also assigned a collection of short stories called Points of View. And I'm indicated here that it's the first edition that I'm talking about here. And I'll explain that. It is a great collection of short stories from the early part of the 20th century. And great authors. Irwin Shaw's there. Dorothy Parker, almost forgot her name. Upton Sinclair, just some great writers, and the stories are wonderful. I don't think there's a bad story in the entire book. There is a second edition which I haven't read yet, and I kind of have an issue with the way they marketed it. They marketed it as an updated version of edition 1. So would make you think, okay, they added a couple of more stories. Um, there's actually like 5 stories in common between the 2 books. They completely changed it over, and rather than market it as an updated version of edition 1, they really needed to market it as a sequel. I don't know. Do you have a sequel to short story anthologies? I don't know. Um, but it has more contemporary writers later in the 20th century. Amy Yan and Joyce Carol Oates, people like that show up in it. Um, and I am going to um, actually read both of them side by side and see how the second edition holds up. But the first edition is the one that is on my list of favorite books. And then I have from 2021, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. This was a group read on MJ's Reading This Life channel. Wonderful book. One of contemporary literature's top notches. It's about the Dust Bowl, the Dust Bowl season during the Great Depression that wiped out so many people, so many farmers, and a single mom who is trying to survive it with her 2 kids. One is a teenage girl, and the other one is a preteen boy. And it's a powerful book. It evokes the Dust Bowl era. It evokes the experience of the migrant worker that was so big in that time as people just traveled from the Dust Bowl afflicted area of the United States, which was Oklahoma and the panhandle of Texas and a couple of other places bordering on that. And just leaving like to California to try to find some opportunity, find some way to live, because they just couldn't live in the Dust Bowl anymore. Very strong book, very, very strong storytelling, unexpected ending. I won't spoil it for you by saying how it was unexpected, but it was definitely an unexpected ending. Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I'm losing my voice here, folks. I hope I make it to the end of the video. Next up, P.S.Your Cat is Dead by James Kirkwood, a 1972 novel. This is just a fun book. We've got a guy who is just down on his luck in every way possible. His girlfriend has left him. He's lost his job. His best friend has died. And then a burglar tries to burgle his apartment. And he manages to subdue the burglar and get the burglar tied up. And they proceed to have a conversation, basically. Other things happen as well, which I just won't get into because it would spoil it. But P.S.Your Cat is Dead is one of it's dark humor, and it's just a delight to read. It really is. It's again 1972 novel by James Kirkwood. I think it's okay to say that by the end of the book, the burglar and this poor chap, I wouldn't say they're best friends, but they're cool acquaintances. Uh, and how the path of how they get there is just it's just a bit of fun. So good, easy. If you're looking for a good, easy summer read, this is a perfect book for you. And then the next one, Think Good Thoughts About a Pussycat by George Booth, 1975. What I would give to find another copy of this book. I found it on Thrift Books, I thought, but Thrift Books had an error and they sent me a different book because, anyway, long story, it was just a total screw up on their website. Um, and I found it available in other places, eBay, a couple of other places, but for prices that I'm just not willing to pay. But it is such a fun book. Think Good Thoughts About a Pussycat is a book of cartoons by cartoonist George Booth, who I believe was a cartoonist for the New Yorker. And I had gotten this book as a teenager and roared my way through it, laughed so hard, and I know that I would do that again because I remember very fondly some of the specific comics that were in it. Um, so check that out. If you can find yourself a copy of this book that doesn't break the wallet, it's out of print, so it's got to be someplace like Thrift Books or eBay that you get it from. Um, give it a shot because it is a lot of fun. And I really wanted to have it here with me when I got it to this part of this so I could show you some of the, like, just hold up the book and show you some of the jokes that are in it. But it didn't happen. So you're just going to have to trust me on this one and find it. And then next up, going from the ridiculous to the sublime, Doll by Ed McBain. Ed McBain was one of the top crime writers starting from the 50s all the way into the 2000s. This is a book from 1965. It is one of my favorite books in his 87th Precinct series. If you want to know about the 87th Precinct series, check out Ollie at Criminale. He has a video. I'll try to find it and link it. If not, at the very least, I'll link his channel, where he goes through the entire 87th Precinct series, book by book. He is a huge fan of Ed McBain's. More so than I am, and I'm a big fan of Ed McBain's. But the book Doll is probably my favorite because it's one of the darker books in the series. It's basically centers around one of the main characters of the 87th Precinct, trying to solve a mystery that has to do with heroin, and gets caught by the drug dealers and gets slowly addicted to heroin because of the drug dealers. They have him tied up and they inject him with a little bit and then a little bit more and a little bit more. And the way it is written from the point of view of the detective that is being turned into an addict is grueling. It is absolutely grueling. I read this book in one sitting. Yeah, really get this book. Even if you don't read the rest of the 87th Precinct, get this book. And also check out Criminale's channel and look for his videos on the 87th Precinct. And then finally, we're at the end again of another list. Season of the Machete from 1977. It is the only book by James Patterson that I've liked of the ones that I've tried. It was his first book, and it's a suspenseful who done it, or who's doing it, I should say. Um, and the people are dying of machete wounds, and it's a summer read. It's one of those. While it's his my favorite of his books that I've read so far, um, it's still a light read. Um, and I remember it because it was one of the first mysteries I've read, and it helped hook me on mysteries. The first one I've already talked about earlier in one of the months back here, um, was Off Duty. Um, that was the first mystery I read. This came close on its heels, so it has that nostalgic feel of um, that introduction I had in my teens to crime fiction, which is one of my favorite genres. And that's it. And we're down to 2 months. We're gonna have to draw it out because we've got June and July, and then this series is done. Um, Maybe I'll do a month of honorable mentions. I don't know. We'll see. But these are all great books, guys and gals. These are all great books. Any one of them. Pick them and put them on your TBR list. And we'll talk to you again soon. This has gone long. We're over 20 minutes. But you know me, when I get talking about books that I love, I just got to talk about them. And I get you guys to talk about them too. And that's the best part. I can talk to my wife about them. And then that conversation's over. I need more people to talk about them too. You're it. You're my book people. Um, and so at this point, I'm just gonna say love y'all and keep reading and check out those channels I mentioned because there's good stuff there. MJ and Ollie and I think that's all I mentioned. I'll have to go back and watch this and make some notes before I do the final post-production stuff. But again, love you all. Keep on reading. Keep talking books. Leave your comments so we can have a great conversation. And we'll catch up with you later. Bye. It won't shut off.